Welcome back to Crypto Tutorial. On today's video, I'm going to talk about Binance Coin and how it's currently performing and what it could be possibly do during the upcoming hours. But also, I would like to show you this article about how Europe is preparing themselves for their first Bitcoin futures launch. I think that is something very interesting and you should actually take a look at this article for sure. I also retweeted this article several minutes ago, and I think you should join me on Twitter at ToroCrypto so you can be able to see this article as well on Cointelegraph. And also, let's get started. So if we take a look at Binance compared to Bitcoin chart, what I think is very interesting and very important is actually this trend line. You can clearly see that this trend line served as a major level of resistance. You can clearly see that we got rejected by this trend line at this point in time. Also, we got rejected once we tried to break above it at this point in time on the 16th of July. Afterwards, we went even further down. We created a W structure, and right now we are seeing clearly that we broke above this downward sloping resistance and that we are finding support on top of it. And afterwards, we saw this major pump towards the upside. So I think this is very interesting for sure in its strength compared to Bitcoin. You are clearly seeing that we are now seeing a trend reversal on the strength compared to Bitcoin. We are seeing a clear confirmation that we have found support on top of this previous resistance, and we see this major increase in the strength compared to Bitcoin. So also at the same period of time, we were able to break above the 150-day moving average over here after this W structure was created. You could clearly see that at this point in time we broke above the 150-day moving average, and we are currently trading above all three moving averages on the daily time frame compared to Bitcoin. I think that is for sure something very interesting, but what I'm personally monitoring very closely is actually this Fibonacci retracement from swing high all the way towards swing low. So if we take a look at where we're currently standing at with this Fibonacci retracement place, is actually this level over here at 0.618 Fibonacci compared to the previous high on the strength compared to Bitcoin chart. And for sure what you're clearly seeing is that we're getting rejected by this level over here. I personally think that it is very likely that we will be heading towards the 0.5 level before even going further up. That is also due to the fact that I already took a look at the RSI, and on the RSI what you're clearly seeing is that we are on the overbought area. I would like to say that we are going to see a decline in the strength compared to Bitcoin, and that we are going to re-enter the purple area on the RSI as well. So that is for me something very interesting, and I think the 0.5 level of Fibonacci compared to Bitcoin is a major level of support, especially because you could see previously we were getting rejected by this level multiple times. Also, once we broke above it, we got supported by it. We got rejected multiple times at this level as well over here, and over here it was also a major level of resistance. So I think this will be holding very strong for the upcoming days, and that the 0.5 level is actually very healthy retracement. So if we would be heading back towards the 0.5 level, I think that eventually this would be very healthy to see a level of accumulation, perhaps just sideways trading for a while before breaking even further towards the upside. So this is my personal opinion right now on the Binance compared to Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame, and I would like to go back towards the Binance compared to US dollar chart. Over here actually it's quite similar story, and what I think is very interesting at this point in time is actually that we are right now trading underneath the orange box, and you can clearly see that the orange box during the past was a major level of support and resistance. You could clearly see at this point in time that we got supported by the orange box at this point in time, also several weeks later, and we got supported by the orange box at this point in time as well. So 3 times we have been supported by the orange box. Also, you could count this minor pump at this point in time also as a major level of support on top of the orange box. But also we got multiple times we traded underneath the orange box, and it served as a major level of resistance, as you could clearly see over here as well. And lastly, as you can clearly see, we traded inside of the orange box also for a while, and that is why I think the orange box is such an important level right now for Binance to trade underneath. So this is of course my personal opinion. You might think it's something different, but you can clearly see that the orange box at the lower part was a major level, a stronghold during the past couple of months Also, once before we saw the major breakout and increase in its price action on the BNB chart, we were trading on top of this orange box, and the orange box clearly showed us as the major level of support during this previous downward momentum during the past couple of months after the major pump in May. And right now we are seeing this clearly this trend reversal created over here, and we are seeing this increase in BNB's price action. So what I think is very interesting and very important is actually this over here, and that is that we have seen previously a drop at this point in time, for example, of approximately 9 or let's say 10%. And what I think is very likely to occur right now is that we are going to see a very similar decline in BNB's price action. I personally think that we are going to see a decline of 10% before heading even further, perhaps even seeing a further decline even further than 10%, retesting this upward sloping support line that has clearly been supporting this uptrend for quite a while now. You can clearly see there are multiple touch points on this trend line, on this upward sloping support, and I think for sure that would be very healthy if we would see a setback, a decline in its price action, because that would be helping this trend line become more significant, but also to eventually break out above that orange box. Very helpful level of resistance and support, and what I think is most important is to break above it and find support on top of it. So to be able to do so, I think it's very likely that we will be seeing a decline in its price action. And why I personally think that it will be also a 10% or maybe a even bigger setback is also due to the fact that if we take a look at this, if we go all the way towards the upward sloping support, it would be a 15% decline. But if we see a support perhaps being found on top of this previous resistance level, that would be a minor decline in its price action from this point in time all the way towards where this previous resistance was of approximately 8%. So that is something I think is very likely to occur. And also why I think this is a possibility is because if we place a Fibonacci retracement all the way from the beginning of this trend reversal towards where we are currently trading at, you can clearly see that if we take a look at where we are currently trading and where the possible next level of support is going to be, is exactly on top of this previous level of resistance. So that could be very likely, and that would be an 8% decrease in the price action of Binance. But what I think is possibly even more likely to occur is that we would be heading towards a retest of this upward sloping support line, but as well a retest of the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level that I think is very healthy to see during an uptrend, and heading all the way towards the 0.382 would be also a perfect level to accumulate even more Binance Coin. So this is of course my personal opinion right now, and why I think this is very likely to occur is also due to the fact that if we take a look at the RSI, that we are seeing right now that the RSI was for a short period of time during inside of the overbought area. Right now we are seeing a decline in the RSI, and I think this decline will actually keep on going, and that would eventually mean that we will see the decline for sure heading towards the 0.236 level of Fibonacci, and perhaps even further towards a retest of this upward sloping support. So with this being said, let's take a look at the MACD as well. So if we take a look at the MACD, you can clearly see that we are expecting a crossover on the MACD, creating some downward momentum. This for sure will also have influence in BNB's price action, and that is for sure why I think mainly that we are heading as well towards the 0.382, due to the fact that we are seeing, not just because we are seeing the RSI already declining and re-entering the purple area, but as well because we are seeing this crossover on the MACD. And if we take a look lastly at the EMA ribbon, you can clearly see that the EMA ribbon is supporting us exactly at this level at 0.236, but due to the fact that we are seeing quite a major crossover on the 4-hourly time frame, this could perhaps mean that we would see an even bigger decline, perhaps retesting the EMA ribbon like we did previously, trading a little tad below it and getting supported by it before we see eventually a major increase in its price. So for sure, that is my personal opinion. If you think differently, please let me know down below in the comments. But if you like the content so far, do not forget to give me a thumbs up down below, and also to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. So what I wanted to show you lastly is actually on the daily time frame, the moving averages. And why I think this is very important is because if we take a look, you can clearly see that we are seeing a clear crossover of the 50-day moving average above the 100-day moving average. At that point in time, we saw immediately a major increase in its price action. And right now, I think if we're going to see a decline in BNB's price action, it would be heading towards this upward sloping support line, as I said previously, and I think that would be very likely to occur also due to the fact that the 50, 100 and 200-day moving average are heading this way and will eventually serve as major levels of support at this point in time as well. So I think this will be a very strong hold for BNB, and also overall very good for the trend to head even further towards the upside and not just go parabolically up and see a major decline. I think it's better to work in minor steps towards a new all-time high than just heading towards the all-time high in a type of major pump, because how harder you pump, how harder you dump. So personally, I think it's very healthy if we would see a retest of this upward sloping support. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you like the content, do not forget to subscribe, and also I wish you a very pleasant day. So bye bye.
Yeah, I've been on Uniswap, now I'm out on one itch. Used to trade centralized, now we on the fun shit. I'm the new Warren B, leadership's nemesis when we go to Mars.